Hello, and welcome back to NRI Woman, the show where we share the amazing stories of women of Indian origin living across the world. We hope in sharing these stories you're inspired, learn something new, or simply know you're not alone in the struggles you face. I'm Nanora.
And I'm Bettina. And hey listeners, if this is the first time you're listening to our show or are a returning listener, but you haven't subscribed, please can we ask you to subscribe, rate and comment so others may find the show just like you did. Today, we've got someone very cool on the show, Sharan Anil, our first NRI man. He's not your typical artsy guy. He's a motivational speaker, poet and artist. Sharan paints using a technique called action art, where the paint doesn't follow the usual rules. It's more like a fun chaos of dribbles, splashes, and smears on the canvas. He uses a remote toy car to create his art, not because he wants to do it differently, but because that's the only way he can. Sharan is creating and doing all this while dealing with Becker Muscular Dystrophy, a condition that severely affects the muscles in one's body.
This episode isn't just about spotlighting someone who's differently abled. It's about opening up a conversation. How often do us neurotypicals stop and think about how those different from us want to be seen and treated? Our first impression of Sharan? Shy, a bit hesitant, but courageous enough to share not just the struggles of living with muscular dystrophy, but also tackling the big questions about life, love, and purpose. A little note. Some of the audio is not very clear as Sharan uses a speaking device to talk. That, however, does not take away from his story, and we start at the beginning when Sharan was a little child and realized something was not quite right.
The symptoms started from 6, 7. I could not climb. I could not climb the bus like everyone else. I used to climb up on my knees. And when I used to get up from the floor, I was a little slow. That was when I noticed something was wrong. I could not run. I had a cycle with me, but I never sat on it. I used to just hold it and move around the cycle, but I never sat on it even once. I kept having falls. I kept spraining my ankles. So one day I had a fall, and then it kept happening. It kept like every 6 months I had a fall, and then for 3 months I could not walk properly. So then finally we went to the GP, and then he said he has muscular dystrophy, and at that time we didn't know what is it, and so we went for numerous tests and blood tests and everything which was supposed to be done. We went to this clinic, that clinic. And then when we were in Bangalore, then the doctors told us there's no cure for it. So there's no cure. Only at that time, he said only you can do physiotherapy. Physiotherapy is the only thing what will help you. At that time, I didn't know about all this. A few years back, I heard a recording. Mom had recorded it. I remember the doctors, they asked me to wait outside. And she went inside, and there were a few doctors were there sitting on the table. I could not hear, but I stood outside, and then I thought to myself, is there something wrong with me? What is it that I'm not being made aware of? At that time I was 9 years old, so I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know that it would keep happening, or I would keep getting worse. I walked, I could do everything. I could do everything what the other children did. But then gradually I saw myself getting weaker. I walked differently. I used to sit differently. I used to walk with the support of the wall, and everything became a challenge. Everything became a challenge to get ready to go to school every morning. It used to be a struggle.
Living with Becker Muscular Dystrophy means facing daily challenges that many may take for granted. This condition affects the muscles, making them progressively weaker over time. Simple tasks like walking, lifting objects, feeding yourself, or even getting up from a chair can be increasingly difficult. Imagine trying to navigate a world where your muscles tire quickly and can't support your body as they should. While the degree of difficulty varies from person to person, the impact is pervasive, influencing everything from personal independence to social interactions.
Let's take a moment to step into Sharan's shoes of when he got the news of his diagnosis at the tender age of 9. Can you imagine it? Confusion, maybe a bit of fear, and probably that glimmer of hope that things might just get better. The heaviness of realizing it's not a quick fix, that it may not get better but worse over time. This information may not have fully hit Sharan or his parents at that point. The fact is that it's not just Sharan riding this roller coaster. It's a family affair. Medical conditions don't just tap one person on the shoulder. They waltz into the lives of everyone around. Parents become the unsung heroes, grappling with the weight of it all for their children. It's a reality check that goes beyond the doctor's office. It's a new normal for everyone involved, shaping their days in ways they've never expected. And it took a while for everyone to come to terms with Sharan's diagnosis. For some, longer than others.
Since my legs started getting heavier, even my eyes started getting bigger. And when my dad said, he told my mom, maybe you're feeding him too much. That's why he's getting bigger. But my legs started getting heavier. The muscular dystrophy, the legs started getting heavier. And then my lower body was slightly bigger, and that's why it was difficult to walk. And then my dad said, he told me, maybe you're feeding him, that's why he's getting bigger, he cannot walk properly. And it was it took many years for him to accept me the way I was. It was hard. Even my grandfather said that he will be okay. And then my grandmother didn't accept it for a long time. She kept saying nasty things to me and my mom about it, but then they got to a point she stopped about it.
Sharan had to deal with so many complex emotions: fear of the unknown, grief for the life he envisioned, and the daunting realization that simple tasks are no longer simple. In this emotional tornado, the support of family becomes paramount. Yet, as he discovered, acceptance is not always universal. Some family members struggle to comprehend the gravity of the condition, and that was an additional thing that he had to overcome. There is no blame towards those family members who might struggle to understand. Everyone does what they can with what they know. It's in reaching the realization that change begins with us that we learn and grow.
Sharan's story is a powerful reminder that in the face of challenges, acceptance and growth are not just individual journeys, but collective ones, where compassion and understanding play key roles. For Sharan and his family, finding a new normal became a journey of trial and error. The rhythm of daily life had to be rediscovered, and even then, nothing could be taken for granted, as each day brought the potential for new obstacles, and the biggest one came in 2018.
I had a surgery in 2018 in August, and that surgery had to be done because I had pneumonia, and I was taken to hospital when I became unconscious. While I slept on the 27th of July in the evening, I had slept for a while, and at 6 o'clock my mom came and she saw me. I was gasping for breath, and I was in a deep sleep, but I didn't open my eyes. She tried to call me and she tried to wake me up, but I didn't wake up. So she went upstairs. There was a nurse in the building, and she called her and she came and checked. She said my pulse was very low and we need to call the ambulance. So she called the ambulance, and then they took me to Dubai hospital. And for 2 nights I didn't know what was happening. I was unconscious. And I woke up on the second night Then I saw all the machines around me. I saw my family around me, and I didn't know what was happening. At that time, I was still speaking. I spoke there, then they put an oxygen tube in my nose, and so then I asked my mom, what is all this? Why am I here? Last time everything was well. I was sleeping. All was fine the way it was. Then she didn't say anything. She said, you'll be okay. And then I fell asleep. I could not keep awake. Then they intubated me. The doctors intubated me. They wanted to see that if I can keep awake without having the ventilator. So they intubated me, and they saw how was my breathing, and they checked in the machine. So when they tried to remove it, when they removed the ventilator, they saw I was unable to breathe. They saw I could not keep my eyes open. And they told me to keep awake so that they could see if I could keep awake and see throughout the night how I could control my breath. And they tried, but they could not. They saw that I could not do it without a ventilator. So on 7th of August, they decided, the doctors had taken permission, and they said we have to go for tracheostomy surgery, where they insert a 12 centimeter tube in the airway. So with that I would not be able to speak. But they did not say that how long would it take or what would be the next step. They said you just have to go ahead with the surgery, and I would not be able to speak. I wouldn't be able to eat. And they said about the speaking, about eating. And then they said one thing is that if you have the surgery, if it's done, then you wouldn't have to worry about getting a cold, because through the tube in my throat, they were able to remove the fluid and all from my lungs. So that in case I had a cough or something, instead of trying to spit it out through the mouth, they would remove it with the suction machine. And everything was okay. They put the tube through the tube, they connected the ventilator, and that helped me to breathe. It was a very different feeling than like I'm breathing normally. So for 2 days, 3 days, I was in a lot of pain. I could not sleep, and 24 hours I was connected to the ventilator, and the feeling was it was very hard to express what happened. And I slept for most of the day, and then the doctors came, and then my mom asked them, will he be able to talk ever? He said depending on how he recovers, depending on his strength, we'll see if he's able to speak. So then they introduced us to speaking device, which I'm using right now.
Those were some of the most challenging moments in Sharan's life. First being confined to a wheelchair, and then losing the ability to express. It's almost impossible for us to imagine what it must have been like. Did Sharan feel like giving up?
Yeah, there were moments at night when I couldn't sleep. I was put on the ventilator. I felt like a machine. You just put it on and put it off. I said, without this, I'm gone. So, what would happen now? What would happen now? Is there anything else that would go much wrong than this? I felt maybe that's the end. And at that moment when I was very low, at that moment I was, because there I could not see anything else. I could only see entering a dark tunnel inside, and I could not see any opening there. I felt this going on and on. I didn't actually say anything. I just saw my grandfather, and whenever he came to me, he said, you will be okay. And then I just saw everyone and saw the support I got, and saw all the visits that everyone came, and I saw how much of support I was given, how much of love I was given. So that gave me the strength actually to come back to to be here where after so many months, a lot of struggle and a lot of dark moments that I came back. And when you're in the hospital, you need a familiar face to be around, even though if it's for a few moments, but that face reminds us that we are still wanted. It helps us to realize that we all need people around us.
Sharan's touching on something fundamental, isn't he? In the core of our being, we all long for connections that run deep. It's about knowing that someone's out there that cares, that our existence matters, and that there are profound desire for a soul outside the immediate family circle. That person with whom you can share the rawest emotion, forging a bond of lifelong companionship. Does Sharan believe he can find that person, that deep emotional connection?
So it's not a very easy question to answer it straight away. I always thought that why would I ever want any girl to come and get stuck with me, and seeing my life, seeing the challenges I have, and why would I want someone else to come and get deprived of something what they can get with another man? Why would I want to spoil someone else's life? It's hard to accept someone when they are different, but we can learn from everyone. Every one of us can teach us something valuable. For all of everyone deserves to have love in their life. Whether it's because everywhere we see, the species we see, and everything we see, it's all like every human being is looking for love, and it can come in many ways. So we all, that's what every soul is looking for. They're looking to be loved, looking to be accepted.
While Sharan may not actively be pursuing romantic love at the moment, his life is woven with threads of love from his tight-knit circle of family and friends. Their unwavering support is the foundation from which he draws strength. Within this circle, Sharan has discovered a profound sense of purpose and a mission to change the world.
There were times when I used to go to my father's office and there were no ramps for me to access the footpath. So I had to take a picture of the place, and I sent it to RT, and I told them that there's not a proper wheelchair access for me on this path. So if it's possible, if there could be some access made. So I received a response. I received a response immediately, and within a month or 2 months, then I got a call from RT. They said they received your email, and we want to inform you that the wheelchair access is being made, and it should be ready on so and so date. And then when I went after a few days, it was done. And I was on stage one day. I had given a speech for Al Tire Motors for Al Tire. I was on stage and with my friend James. That moment when I gave the speech, it was my best speech. It was not a speech. Gulshan was asking me questions and I was answering to them. And I think the answers I gave was precise and to the point. That moment when I was on stage, everyone gave me a standing ovation. I said, maybe this is who I am. And that moment was very emotional. It was an emotional moment. And I very well remember it.
Imagine this. Sharan stands in front of a crowd, and they're all clapping and cheering for him. It's like a big, warm hug of appreciation. In that moment, he realizes why he's here, not just because he uses a wheelchair or deals with muscular dystrophy, but because he keeps going, no matter what. Sharan has achieved a lot, but there's something he really wishes for. Even though his dad takes care of his basic needs, Sharan longs for more. He just hopes that one day he and his dad can do things together, share moments. It's a bit like a missing puzzle in his story. And by sharing this, Sharan isn't just talking about himself. He's hoping that if a parent hears the story, maybe they'll think about doing things a bit different with their child.
Maybe to spend more time and to fly kites with him. I like flying kites. Even though there were days that he came along, so there were days which he used to. I'm not saying he was not that way. There were days we went through that. There was a support group, and but that's all I would say. Maybe I want him to come and see my painting, see my exhibition. I do tell him, but then sometimes he says I have work, and I do send him. I send him the message of the exhibition. I send him the invites, and also now I say it's okay. I can only do my best. Rest is up to him. Well, but I still send him the pictures. I still send him where I'm going, what's happening. I would say that if your child is not up to your expectations, you just let him do what he can do best, and to not expect that my son can be this, my son can be what I want him to be. Not that if he's doing a particular job, or you want my son to do this. Obviously, every father would want their son to come up in life. But if that child has a disability, or the child is slightly different, you would not want to say things to him that you feel that he is not what you want him to be.
Sharan's story would be incomplete without talking about a few people in his life. One is his mother. She's the superhero in his life, always there making everything better. When things get tough, she's the one cheering him on, giving him a big hug of support. It's not just about taking care of the practical stuff. She's there with a ton of love and encouragement. She's the one who believes in him no matter what. And there are a couple other people that Sharan wants to talk about.
In 2015, in March, we had gone to Singapore. It was because of my sister Amrita that we had gone. That was my first trip going outside Dubai and India. It was a nice holiday, and Singapore was very accessible, and that was the first holiday we had. And then there are some moments some good moments we had. She used to tell us this place is good. You can go there, have a meal, have dinner, or when we went to Russell Khema, we stayed at a resort. That was all because of her. So we have had a lot of good moments. There was a nurse who came to me. His name was Nuruddin. He's been a great friend to me, and he's spoken to me about all the things, and he's spoken about what is the soul, what is about life. He's given me strength and showed me what is important and what is the things that will make a difference to me. And we have our disagreements. We have a lot of disagreements. He fires me, I fire him, so we both have our days, but it's okay. At the end of the day, it makes me happy.
Each of our lives is like a big storybook with lots of different stories. The ones we pay attention to shape how we see the world and ourselves. For Sharan, this choice is a deep personal one, rooted in the belief that emphasizes the positive and has the transformative power of guiding him through the ups and downs of life with strength and confidence.
The first moment when I sat on my electric chair in 2012, I got it for my 20th birthday. 29 January 2012. I still remember the day. I got it 10 days after my birthday. The moment I sat on it and I went out, I was very happy. I didn't know that having an electric chair would make so much of a difference to my life. So that moment I'll always remember. And the second moment is when I took part as a solo artist at Sika Art Fair in 2018, in March 2018. That was another moment which I'll always remember in my life, and I had given live demonstrations in art. And the third happiest memory I remember is when I stood up for Goshen's 50th birthday. That will always be in my memory forever.
Despite the challenges and complexities in his journey, Sharan holds on to gratitude like a cherished treasure. Whether it's the unwavering support of his mum, family, and friends, the joy of special memories, or the resilience that fuels his artistic spirit, he finds reasons to appreciate the threads of positivity woven into his life. Even when things are really tough, Sharan shows us that saying thanks and recognizing the good things reminds us that no matter how hard it gets, there's always room to see and be thankful for the good stuff.
There are many things to be grateful. When I look around, I'm grateful for the oxygen that we all are breathing, because I struggled for it when I was in hospital, and I noticed that is one thing that you can take away everything. You can live without everything. You cannot live without oxygen. So I think the only thing which all of us should be grateful for is oxygen. Because when the oxygen is taken away, I know how it feels. So maybe that's the thing we should all be grateful to. Then can come the sunshine, the wind, everything else. I want to be remembered for my smile, for the little bit of humor sometimes I have.
And that's the first thing that comes to mind when we think of Sharan. His coy smile, the hint of naughtiness in his eyes, and his selfless spirit that does not want to trouble another, even if he's in discomfort. No matter who we are, we all want to be noticed and included. It's the little stuff that counts, like sitting down to chat with someone in a wheelchair at eye level, asking them their thoughts and opinions, and including them in our happy or sad moments. Understanding others is a process of growing. The responsibility of navigating the intricate landscape of understanding others begins with us. On one hand, our world is a kaleidoscope of diversity, and the pace of its evolution is both rapid and relentless. And the other, we find ourselves best placed where resources, information, and human connection are more accessible than ever.
The key to unlocking this understanding lies in our willingness to ask questions and to listen with genuine openness. The process just isn't about acquiring knowledge. It's about embodying a mindset that fosters growth, choosing empathy over sympathy, and embracing countless other facets that contribute to a more inclusive understanding. Albert Schweitzer once said, "Sometimes our lights go out, but it's blown again into instant flame by an encounter with another human being." Sharan shows us that in our everyday lives, simple acts of kindness and inclusion have the power to ignite a flame in someone's heart. And that, right there, is the true difference. A ripple of positivity that can transform the world around us. I'm Bettina.
And I'm Nanora. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you'll join us again for our episode next week. We can be found at www.nriwoman.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just look for NRI Woman. If you or someone you know has a story to share, please get in touch with us at hello@nriwoman.com or tweet us at NRI_woman. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at NRI Woman Podcast. Please help us spread the stories of these amazing women by sharing it with your family and friends. You can find the details to connect with the guests in our show notes. NRI Woman episodes come out every Thursday, so make sure you subscribe. Until next time, keep learning, keep inspiring, and always be kind.